And more criticism of the European Union in today's perspective, saying it is complicit in horrific violations and abuses in Libya. It is the accusation from Amnesty, which has accused the EU of cooperating with what it calls a xenophobic and racist country. It comes as Europe has moved to do more to try to stem migration, as it's introduced the European Union Migration and Asylum Pact that overhauls how the EU manages its borders. Well, with me here on set is Advocacy Officer for Migrations at Amnesty International France, Diane Fogelman. Thanks very much for coming in and talking to us today. Just explain, first of all, why you've hit out at the European Union over this.
Well, it's been years that Amnesty has reported and documented on the violations that the European Union is being complicit with in Libya, also in Tunisia and other countries, but in Libya today, because we see a surge in xenophobic and racist protests that are being also echoed by the authorities, which stated official racist accusations, and they have been more and more rampant since around April. We have seen like protests around no settlement protests and people protesting in front of the UN offices in particular. So we see the authorities that are more and more violent towards migrants in general, so asylum seekers, refugees, migrants. They have been suffering arbitrary arrests, detention, and violence in general. And so Amnesty's today reporting against the EU that wants to expand its cooperation with Libya, even though we've been documenting and denouncing all these abuses.
And for migrants and indeed people just trying to get across Libya, I mean, conditions for them and what happens to many of those people is utterly horrific, isn't it?
It is horrific, and it's been for years. And today, people have been targeted only for being, well, black and racialized, and this is something that the Libyan authorities do officially state. So we have this state which is racist and using this, xenophobic rhetoric, and still the European Union wants to further expand its cooperation, especially through the creation of a Maritime Rescue and Coordination Center. So this is very worrying, and it's also appealing to human dignity and several violations of international law.
Presumably the EU would say that something has to be done to try to stop people from taking that risk of crossing the Mediterranean. This is their way of trying to tackle it. Why is it not the right way, then?
Well, it's not the right way, and we've said so for years and years, and a lot of civil society in general, we do unite to ask for safe and legal routes for people if we want to better the way people cross borders with dignity and in respect of international. There is only way, and this is safe and legal routes. And this can be through visas, this can be through any legal way. There are several of them. We didn't really try them so far because what we see is the EU still wants to pursue these policies of, crackdown, restrictions, and violations of international law when other solutions exist and they are not put in place. So this is what we ask for today, and we also ask for, of course, to put an end to all these abuses that the EU has been committing over being complicit of all the time.
And why do you think the EU is hesitant to take up your ideas? I mean, is it simply political pressure from within the EU, do you think?
Well, what we see in Libya is that the rhetoric, the xenophobic and racist rhetoric, is being fueled by, official statement, as I said, but also the protest. And this rhetoric has concrete consequences. This allows for more restrictions and more violence and more racism, more xenophobia. So we see that this is encouraging or this is allowing this kind of policies. So it goes both ways. And we see it, you mentioned the EU Pact, for example, and this certainly opened up a lot of racist discourse, but also hatred towards migrants just because they are migrants. And so this allows to a climate of policies that lead to this kind of violence, and this is very, very worrying.
You're also very critical, of course, of the Libyan government for racially discriminatory mass arrests. You talked about the arbitrary detention, unlawful collective expulsion of refugees and migrants. I mean, is there any way that you can put pressure on the Libyan government as well? I assume you're trying that avenue as well.
Well, it's a good point. It's not easy, also because we see that the EU representatives in Libya do officially state about this cooperation that's being extended. So we see that it's very official, and so it makes it harder for us to work on it. And it's been years, as I said, so it's not an easy work, but yes, this is something we advocate and work for, obviously.
And is there a risk, do you think, that cooperating to any extent with the Libyan government does kind of embolden them possibly to go even further in what they're doing?
Well, the question is, how far can they go then? Because, as I said, thousands of people have been arbitrarily arrested, thousands are suffering. We did talk with asylum seekers who were denied care. They were asking for insulin, for example, to the guards in the detention center they were held in. And so all of these abuses are already so horrific, and they do cross so many international obligations that my question is, how far could they go then? I don't think there is something more that they could do, but maybe, I don't know. It would be regrettable, though.
Is there anything positive about the new EU Pact? I noticed a Human Rights Watch saying at least it does include some positive reforms to help ensure the best interests of children, for example, as seeking asylum.
Well, it is something that is indeed often said about the EU Pact, is the children's rights. But in general, no, we do not consider that it is positive. Sorry, just because in general, it puts in place a new philosophy that is attacking directly asylum law, also because of the screening procedure at the external borders of the EU. And the pact is a massive change in the way we do conduct migration policies. It is made of 10 texts, 1,000 pages. So even though you could tell or find something positive, it will be so minor regarding the vast changes that it brings into EU migration policies. In France, it's so vast that we didn't really take these changes into account, and so we are not prepared, and this is very worrying for the rights of the people, obviously. So we cannot really say that it is positive, because this change in philosophy also changes the way we will manage to make international respect in the long run, and also it impacts directly people. As we say, the discourse and the narratives in general around migrations do have concrete impact on people.
And just one final point, just before we launched into this on Libya, we were talking about Afghanistan and the EU talking to members of the Taliban in Brussels. I mean, it's very difficult, isn't it, for the EU when they are trying to consolidate and get around some of the world problems to know who they should be talking to and who they can't talk to. How do politicians come up with a way of deciding, what they should be doing and where the red line is, I suppose?
Well, it demands courage, obviously. Our point is not to say that who we should talk to or not. Our point is we know these countries are responsible for several human rights violations, and people suffer because of them. So this is something that should definitely be taken into account, and that should be part of the conversation. This is what we say. And also, these states should be held accountable, and we ask for responsibility. So this is how, according to us and according to international law, the conversation should be made.
Diane Fogelman, thanks very much for coming in and talking to us today on the programme. Advocacy Officer for Migrations at Amnesty International France. Thanks very much.